Okay, time out, internet. We need to huddle up real quick. Come here. I have a question for you. Real quick, real quick. Come here. Why no one tell me this game was awesome? I get it. From the surface, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb looks just like another game in their long series, and is honestly not your fault. They have released over 20 games from the Atari to the PlayStation 3, 360, Wii. They even do some weird goofy shit for Facebook. But I'm sure anyone who's played this game can't deny that this is an adventure worth having. So let's take a look at Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. The game's tutorial level starts pretty much like every movie does. We're like right in the middle of trying to retrieve an artifact. In this case, it's the idol of Koruwatu. And obviously you can't have Indiana Jones without having some Nazis trying to get the same thing, right? So after getting the idol and dealing with the Nazis with the help of an albino crocodile, we get back to New York where we are approached by this totally cool, non-creepy dude who looks 100% like a good guy. He wants us to help him find a mythical black pearl called the Heart of the Dragon that is supposedly buried with the first emperor of China and grants unlimited powers. So Indy's like, nah man, I'm good, I don't want to do this. And then his assistant Mei Ying is like, well, you already started, and grabs the idol and destroys it, revealing 1 out of 3 pieces of the Mirror of Dreams. This is another artifact that helps you navigate through the Emperor's Tomb. Oh, I said the name of the game. It's the name of the game. The internet says that this takes place between movies 1 and 2, but what a lot of people don't know is that the second movie, The Temple of Doom, is actually a prequel, since that takes place in 1935 and Raiders of the Lost Ark takes place in 1936. Remember his pal Wuhan from the second movie? Yeah, the guy that dies.
I followed you on many adventures into the great unknown mystery.
Well, you actually meet him here, as he is a friend of Mei Ying's and helps you chase after some bad guys in a first-person shooting rickshaw level.
Who the hell are you?
My name is Wuhan. I'm here to meet Mei Ying.
It was really wild. So, seeing Wuhan was a pretty nice surprise. Okay, enough of him. I already said his name too many times. I already said Nazi a couple times. I can't keep saying his name. I don't want YouTube to take this video down. Hey, if you want to help me out to ensure that they don't, make sure you like, subscribe, and also down in the comments, let me know what's your favorite Indiana Jones adventure. It doesn't have to be a movie. It could be another game. It could be something in the comic. It could be whatever. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is like the greatest adventure movie of all time, so that would be mine. Let me know yours. Anyway, back to the game. I usually never expect much from movie licensed games, and even with this being like a whole different story, even still my expectations going in were super low. So I was genuinely surprised at everything you can actually do in this game. It really does feel like an early Uncharted game, just by the sheer amount of stuff you can do. You can throw hands, you can pick up weapons from the floor and use them against the enemies, from like machetes to knives, swords, and even spears. You can also shoot multiple firearms. There's bow guns, there's spear guns. You obviously have Indy's handy dandy whip that you use for the platforming and also during combat to whip some ass. And my favorite is to use it to disarm enemies, which feels so cool to do so. There are also explosives that you use to break walls, pipe bombs to chuck at fools. You can even go full WWE and pick up a chair and hit them with it.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Oh my God!
And each level will just keep adding new weapons you can use. It was really cool. This game is third-person action adventure, and the game is also very linear with like a few secret areas to wander off and like find collectibles and artifacts. You have a canteen with some good old H2O that you use to replenish your health. And throughout the levels, there are fountains you can use to fill up the canteen. Early on, I figured out that Indy takes fall damage from what doesn't feel like to be that high up, and it actually made me feel like I was playing with like today's Harrison Ford. So you'll be platforming and solving puzzles through levels, but there are no checkpoints in the level. So if you die, you restart the level. And at first the levels are not that crazy long. They're pretty easy. So when you die, it's actually not that bad. But towards the end, you definitely feel it when you die, because the later levels definitely demand your full attention when it comes to the platforming. It's like the platforming isn't hard, but you can't be messing around. You actually need to provide some sort of skill. You have to be very careful, because it could also be very easy to take one wrong step and that's it. You fall to your death. And I did this a couple times when I was just like a hop and a skip away from finishing the level, and I would fall down, and then I would struggle to get all the way back because my first run was just so glorious. There are 10 chapters in total. Nothing feels the same, which is very good. You explore very different places, environments, dungeons, and the puzzles are fair. I mean, they're not too hard and they're not too easy. They feel just right. The shooting behind cover is a bit goofy. It works okay, but it just feels more like a hassle to try to get behind cover rather than just run up on them and shoot them in the face. There's also a very subtle lock system, and I say subtle because there's not a giant red circle indicating which guy you're locked on, and that actually works surprisingly well. And you can even go first person and aim if you want. The hand-to-hand combat feels okay as well. Even when there's like multiple bad guys around, I would hit who I wanted to hit, and I never really struggled with that. I mean, it's no Arkham system, but actually for the time, I think it works pretty nicely. Plus, there's so many weapons that it just keeps it fresh. That's why it was kind of funny to me when I found out that there was even more content cut out from the game. Like at one point, Indy was going to have 2 whips, one of them being a magic grappling hook, but you definitely don't need it. It wasn't missed at all. At one point, I was getting my ass beat and all of a sudden my hat disappeared, which made me think of Mario 64. But Indy is such like an iconic character. He's so cool that it even felt cool to walk over and pick up my hat. If you do ignore the hat and you don't pick it up, it just respawns on the next level, so it's not a big deal. There are also boss fights. You fight hench ladies, you fight these wild experiment looking dudes, and none of it feels recycled at all. Each battle feels original and feels fresh, and they're actually really fun. It gets pretty wild towards the end, kind of like the second Uncharted does with like zombie spirit things, but that just offered even more different types of enemies that I actually didn't care how weird it was. I will say though that the last boss, the final boss, is a bit anticlimactic. It was like one long hit, like in how some boss fights there's like a process you need to do to be able to hit them, like grab the thing, unlock the thing, push the button, or do something to lower the shields, and you have to grab another thing to do something else to be able to hit them. Well, it was like that, but only once, which kind of makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, but it just breaks all video game convention of landing multiple hits to kill the boss. And for him to be the final boss, for you to do this long process and only do it once, kind of felt like I wanted some more. But even with that, the game truly surprised me. It's really pretty fun. The game captures everything that makes Indy iconic, and it does it pretty well. The music is spot on. The cues when you find artifacts is awesome. The music during the battles is cool. The cutscenes are great. I will say that the voice acting for Indy is okay. It does sound like Harrison Ford, except for he's a bit flat and emotionless sometimes.
They found the palace of Belsarius?
It's really missing the character in Ford's voice, and the model isn't bad looking either. He looks just like Indy. Honestly, more than once, this game did make me think of Uncharted, and I know it's thanks to Indiana Jones and the Tomb Raider franchise we even have Uncharted to begin with, but for a 20-plus-year-old game to be compared to Uncharted in any facet is honestly amazing. So, in case no one told you, just like no one told me, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb is a true hidden treasure that belongs in a museum. Do you know of any other indie games that I should play, or simply just any other games in general that you would like to see me play on this channel? Please let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far, that means you actually liked this video. So let me know by dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for more. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to always and forever, you do you.